Not quite, it's still morning. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for attending today's candidate forum, featuring the candidates running for the Clerk, Assessor, and Highway Commissioner of Schaumburg Township. My name is Vicki Martin, and I am the forum chairman of the League of Women Voters of the Palatine, Barrington, and Schaumburg areas, which also includes Inverness, Hoffman Estates, and Rolling Meadows. Founded in 1920, the League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political organization that neither supports or opposes or recommends candidates for office. The League was founded here in Chicago in order to help educate and inform the new female voters who had just earned the right to vote. The League's purpose is to promote civic responsibility through the informed and active participation of all citizens. Providing this forum enables members of the community to become better informed about the issues facing the community and the candidates running for office. We're pleased to offer this service for you. Before we go any further, as a way to remind ourselves why we are here and that we are all Americans, regardless of our individual political views, please rise, remove your hats, and join us in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. There's some general information that we want to share with all of you before we begin. Today's forum will be recorded for the League of Women Voters' use in educating the public. A video of this forum will be available early next week on the League of Women Voters website and the Schaumburg Library website. The candidates have all agreed to this. No campaign signs, buttons, or partisan materials are allowed in the room, but you can pick them up on the table outside the door. No voice, image, or other duplication of the forum may be used by a candidate's representative or in any campaign advertising. The League claims copyright ownership of all recordings and transcripts produced from this event and reserves the right to publicize this forum. All audience members are hereby advised that their image may appear in the forum video or in photographs of the forum. To view this forum, please go to the League website, www.lwvpalatinearea.org. We want to thank all of you for taking the time to attend this forum. And in order to help us stay within our time limits and out of respect for the candidates and your fellow attendees, we ask that you hold your applause until the end of the forum. No questions will be taken from the floor, and no interruptions, heckling, or other disruptions will be tolerated. We'd like to extend our sincerest thanks to Christopher Corrigan, the Adult Program Coordinator, and Stephanie Driscoll, Director of Programs and Outreach here at the Schaumburg Library, and the library staff, including Frank, our tech support, and we could not do this forum without their help. Now I'm pleased to introduce our moderator for today's forum, Kim Inman. Kim is a member of the League of Women Voters of the Palatine, Barrington, and Schaumburg areas. Kim's been trained by the Illinois League of Women Voters and has moderated many forums. So we're very fortunate that she's able to be here with us this afternoon. Kim.
Thanks, Vicki. Good morning. It's my pleasure to be with you today. As a resident of Palatine, I'm not eligible to vote in this election, hence my super impartiality in this race. Let me take a few minutes to explain the format of this forum. All the candidates were contacted by mail, email, or phone and have agreed to abide by the ground rules provided by the League of Women Voters. These are our rules. Candidates have just drawn numbers to determine their speaking order. I'll rotate this order during the forum for questions. Each candidate will answer every question. Candidates' answers will be timed by a group of timers trained by the League. They're sitting right here in the front. You can see their signs, 1 minute, 30 seconds. We have a 15-second one too, don't we not? Yes, and the stop sign. They'll hold up the sign indicating how much time the speaker has left. Thank you to our timers for assisting us today. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for an opening statement. Next, each candidate will have 1 minute to answer the questions that I asked. So 2 minutes opening statement, 1 minute answer. I'll be happy to repeat a question if necessary. Candidates will be given a 30-second and a 15-second warning, so please quickly complete your thoughts before you see the stop sign. Time limits will be enforced out of respect for all the candidates. If needed, a rebuttal may be requested. Each candidate can use a maximum of 2 rebuttals. Rebuttals will be timed and yes, Scott is showing us the rebuttal card. And limited to 30 seconds each. Please raise your card if you would like to speak. Finally, each candidate will have a 1-minute closing statements. The questions I'm asking have been submitted by audience members at the time of registration, by local civic organizations, as well as by the candidates themselves. The questions have been reviewed for clarity, appropriateness, and to avoid duplication. We've done our best to ensure that the questions are free of inherent bias. Candidates have been asked not to interrupt each other. All right, today it's a little confusing because we have 6 candidates running for 3 positions in Schaumburg Township. With us today on the ballot are, over on your left, we have Kathleen Reed and Daniel Lee running for Township Clerk. In the center, we have Victor Morales and Shar Kega-Rice running for Assessor. And on your right, we have Tim Belo and Scott Kega-Rice running for Highway Commissioner. All right, because we have a pair of candidates running for 3 specific jobs, I'm gonna vary the format just a little bit. We'll start with the opening statements and some general questions, and then I'll ask each candidate some specific questions related to the office that they're running for. We'll finish, as usual, with the closing statements. I wanna thank you all for your participation and willingness to be here today. By number draw, first up for the opening statement is Daniel. You may start and you'll have your 2 minutes for your opening statement.
Excellent. All right, good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right. Good morning, and thank you to League of Women Voters and the Schaumburg District Library for this opportunity to connect with our community. Like you said, my name is Daniel Lee, and my wife Allie and I have proudly called Schaumburg Township our home for the past 19 years. We've raised 2 wonderful children here. Both of them went to Hoffman High. Our daughter just graduated and enjoying her first year at Illinois State University, studying English education and criminal psychology. Our son, Danny Jr., he will be graduating in a couple of months in May from West Point and will be serving in the U.S. Army as a 2nd lieutenant. I earned my degree in international relations and global security from American Military University and currently serve as a commissioner for both Economic Development Commission and the Planning and Zoning Commission for the Village of Hoffman Estates. Through these roles, I've worked to strengthen our local economy and ensure responsible development. And as a Republican, I believe that government should be accountable to its people. The first step in accountability is transparency. So as your township clerk, I'll implement modern solutions that make government more efficient, accessible, and easy to understand for every resident. But beyond policies, I believe in the values that built our great community: responsibility, fairness, and fiscal discipline. Schaumburg Township deserves leaders who will put people before politics and protect our community, not burden it with bureaucracy, irresponsible spending, or hidden political agendas like DEI. This is your township, and people must come before politics. I'm ready to bring back common sense to our government. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Daniel. Next for opening statement is Shar.
Hello, I'm Charlotte Kega-Rice, and I'm a resident of Schaumburg Township for the last 45 years. And we've enjoyed every minute of making this our home. And so I'm seeking the position of Schaumburg Township Assessor. The assessor position is the most valuable position for our homeowners. The assessor's office provides no-cost assistance to taxpayers in appealing their taxes and helping them to receive the proper exemptions on their property. Once our current assessor indicated that this would be his last term, I began the process of getting the certificate required to run for the assessor's office. being that the certified Illinois assessing officers classes, lodging, food and testing fees would cost in excess of $5,000. I spoke with my family, friends, and the powers to be regarding my pursuit of this certification and assessor's position. Upon receiving the thumbs up from all involved, I began my studies all over the state and successfully completed all of the requirements of the certification. Unlike my opponent who utilized taxpayers' funds to obtain his certification, my credentials were entirely self-funded. My goal when elected is to be a hands-on assessor who provides taxpayers of our township with assistance in ensuring that they are fairly taxed and have received the correct exemption. I will also make sure that veterans and seniors are not overlooked. This was not a decision which was made when I woke up one day and decided to throw my hat in the ring, but one of a lot of consideration. So with that, I thank you for your time and ask for your support and your vote.
Thank you. Next opening statement will be from Scott. Otherwise.
I'm not sure if can you hear me?
Yeah?
First of all, I want to thank everybody for coming out. The league does a good job doing this. The library presents a place, but you have the most difficult job of all. You have to get out of bed and make an effort to get here. So thanks for being here. I've been the highway commissioner since 2012. During that time, I've accomplished a lot in getting the roads up to snuff, reducing your taxes. I've cut the levy in each of the 3 years prior to this year, and I have a flat levy this year, which means road district taxes aren't going up. They're staying low. You pay about $12 to $20 on your tax bill. Basically, we've got a lot left to do. We've got a $5 million project on a $750,000 a year budget that has to be planned for. 1 minute left. I'll be less than that. There are a lot of things that are in the road district. We're a separate budget, a separate levy, and we have great staff that takes good care of the unincorporated areas, and we provide services also like wood chips to the incorporated residents for free, and we deliver them. So thanks for coming out. I'm done early to give my opponent more time when he wants to. Thank you.
Well, and as it happens, your opponent is up next by the draw of the numbers. How did that happen?
It was fixed.
Well, Scott, thanks for your service. And, you know, we will continue the good work of the Highway Department. My name is Timothy Belo. I am running for Highway Commissioner. I've been here in the township for about 12 years now. I've got children in school. One is in District 54. The other is in District 211. And this is really, for me, this is a chance to step up and become a leader in the community. I was a leader in my old community as the association president of a community that back in 2009 the developer abandoned. We had a lot of unfinished work to do, and I just remember that association meeting where they needed leaders, and I raised my hand. And for 11 years, I was the president of that community. It was an active job. And I would say a lot of what we did was getting a road paved and maintaining that road, the auto courts. So this is sort of a natural fit for me to move into this role. I agree with Scott. We'll keep the levy low, for sure. We'll keep that going. We'll keep the excellent service going. This is something that I'm well qualified to do. And I think the biggest thing for me is why am I here? Is it's kind of the I in DEI, that democracy is about inclusion. This is about us including ourselves in the process, this whole notion that DEI has become this loaded word. It's ridiculous. And I'm here because of the I in DEI. I am going to step up and do this job and be part of this democratic process because my kids deserve to see me doing this. The kids I teach deserve to see me doing this. And the people in my community deserve to see me doing this. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Next opening statement is Victor.
Sure. Good morning. I'd like to thank first the League of Women Voters, also Schaumburg District Library for hosting this great event. I think it's very important. I think that this election is very important. This is important because this year, every 3 years, as we know, our township is reassessed. Every 3 years, we'll be having a triennial where things will change. It's not easy. Every 3 years, and beginning this year, we're gonna have probably a property increase. So we need steady leadership, continue what my boss, current Republican, also Assessor Lawson, has been doing. He's asked me through his encouragement for the last 3-4 months to consider this. I'm into this passionately because I believe I've been doing this for the last 7 years, and I've been working closely with all our residents. We believe that we need to bring property taxes now, and as your tax advocate, I will continue to fight for you in Springfield, and also at the county levels to make sure there's continued transparency in our office, there's flexibility, and there's unity, and to help all our residents from our 7 municipalities. I think it's a critical point at this time to focus on bringing our property taxes, though it helps us all, bringing it down as the new year will continue. We may see an increase later this summer, and my goal is to work with our residents, all residents, to make sure they could have an affordable community here. We could be living happily and have a wonderful parks and education for their children. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, Kathleen.
Hi, I'm Kathleen Reed. I am a 33-year resident of Schaumburg Township. I've been paralegal for 4 years, worked my way through college as a paralegal, University of Illinois at Chicago graduate in English, paralegal certificate from Harvard University. I've worked in law firms and corporations. I enjoy reading and writing. I'll say without hesitation, the past 4 years that I have spent volunteering at Schaumburg Township, starting at the COVID clinic, then on the mental health board, and also attending almost every board meeting and the different events, have been the most rewarding time in my life. I'll say that without hesitation. When I see Mr. Vintage at the meetings taking notes, I'm envious. I wish I could do that. I've pretty much made for that. That's what I've done every day since I started working my way through college. So I would welcome the opportunity to do that. So.
Okay, great.
Did I take up enough time?
Yeah, I think you have a few seconds to spare.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we're gonna move on to the questions now. I'll start with some general questions for everybody to answer, then we'll break it down. The first person to answer based on our drawing is going to be Charlotte. And the question is, each of the positions you candidates are running for is a part-time job. Do you have a full-time job? And if so, how will you adapt that schedule to accommodate your responsibilities on the township? Or even if you don't have a full-time job, how will you adapt to the new responsibilities?
Well, I have a full-time job, which is providing services to our community. I'm an avid volunteer person who volunteers a lot, and I've spent a lot of time volunteering at the township, getting to know all the great things that this township does for our citizens. It's unbelievable what we can do, because when my mother became sick, and my family's from Tacoma, Washington, I would call and they'd go, "Where did you get that idea from?" And I says, "It's just a given in our community." So I'd like to carry on that good work that's been done before, so I can continue to help our most vulnerable and needy citizens.
Thank you. Scott, you're next to answer that question.
First of all, I'm retired officially, but I still own a company in Schaumburg. When we moved here in 1979, we decided to get involved in the community I became the president of the Schaumburg Athletic Association, so I also have community service. I was the Schaumburg JC president. Over the years, we've done a lot within the community of Schaumburg. Even after our kids were out of the athletic association, we continued to coach and manage. I was commissioners of soccer, both travel and recreational soccer. So service has been the forefront of our existence in Schaumburg. And the other job I have is being a good husband for my wife of 53 years. So,
All right, thank you, Scott. Tim, you're up next.
See, can you hear me? Do I need this thing? So I am currently a 6th grade language arts instructor at Sunland Junior High in Palatine.
Oh, no, well.
Yeah. And that's actually, this is my second career. I used to be a firefighter. I had a catastrophic back injury some years back, and it took a while to rehab from that. How do I balance the two? My full-time job as a teacher and this, I mean, I was working full-time when I was an association president, and I did a lot of just interacting with residents. It's just kind of natural for me. I don't really see that as being much of an issue. You know, we could list off all of our accomplishments right now, but me being a teacher is just, I just want to set an example for these young people. You know, that politics is about the example you set. This is an opportunity. I think it would be cool for them to say, my teacher is the highway commissioner.
Thank you. Victor.
Yes, I'm currently full-time. I love what I do. I've been doing this now for 7 years. I'm the chief deputy, going number 2 person. I have vast experience, of course. Going to be the number 1, being the township assessor. So I handle a lot of roles. After school, I'm a coach at the local school for my kids. I'm also serve as board of trustee on the Schaumburg District for Education Foundation. I'm very involved with my family, my children. I participate in my daughter being at U of I with her activities. So I'm very proud. I can manage well. I do 2 things very wonderfully, I believe. And I make time to serve our community to the best of my knowledge, and also serve our church, our local church here in Hoffman Estates.
Great, thank you. Next, Kathleen.
I do not work. I volunteer. I'd like to spend more time in the township. I have 2 feisty dogs who, they're a lot of work, but other than that, in my volunteer work, I do not work.
Thank you. Daniel.
Right. Growing up, I don't think I've ever done one thing at a time. It's always been multiple things. I own a consulting firm, and I take on multiple clients at a time. But ever since COVID, I have cut that down quite a bit, which also with our kids now out of the house, we were able to run for this position. Clerk, I really believe clerk has a very important duty for the township's transparency, because it deals with records. And unless we know what's going on, there's no way to take our government accountable. So I actually pledged that I'm going to treat the clerk position, the duties, as pretty much a full-time position, and I will be able to do that.
Great, thank you. Thank you all for that. All right, now we're moving on to the topic of campaign finance. First up on this one will be Scott. For your campaign's 3 largest donors besides yourself, and what's your relationship with them?
the organization is Schaumburg Township Republican Organization. The other organization is Friends of Schaumburg Township, and we have various fundraising activities that have occurred to finance a campaign. You can see on any of our literature at the bottom who pays for it. So that should answer that question.
Okay, thank you. Tim?
Well, I'm not too proud to say that I think from an individual standpoint, my largest donor is my parents. They came through for me. And then from there, it's my friends and the, sort of the network that I'm building as I'm going out and I'm talking to people and meeting people and just asking if they want to be involved. You know, from the standpoint of the money I'm bringing in, those are my donors. And so that's all I'm prepared to speak to.
All right, thank you. Next, Victor.
Yeah, I'm the same, so nice to say it. Our largest supporters are my family, my wife, our neighbors, basically our residents. Everything's transparent, everything's our campaign website or as required by state law through the Board of Elections. But there's everyone who's interested in our slate and our organization, Schaumburg Together. It's all there, it's all transparent, and you can always see it anytime, whenever you want. Thank you.
Thank you. Kathleen.
As far as Schaumburg Together, our slate is concerned, the largest contributor would be Schaumburg Area Democrats. I'm not aware of anyone other than my son's best friend who contributed, and it meant the most to me and brought me to tears. He doesn't even live in this township. He lives in the city. He's a school teacher that doesn't make much money. And he said, hey, I want to give money to your mom so she can win. And he gave $25.
Thank you. Daniel.
So my biggest donor, there's no single biggest donor as far as supporters of mine is concerned. Funny thing about my supporters is it's pretty evenly spread between the Republicans and Democrats. So these are people from our community that I've known for the last 2 decades, volunteering together and making the community better, including one of my friends from our son's scout troop is here. He's also a donor to my campaign. We have not had one single large donor. It's been quite a humbling experience how much support that I'm getting. Very appreciative, and reminds me that this will be a duty that I'm going to take extremely seriously and do it for the community that's backing me.
Thank you. And finally, Charlotte.
Well, my largest investor with me is the people who are willing to come out every day, walk their precincts, come and make phone calls, fold and mail literature and all those things. They're given up one precious commodity that you don't get back, is your time. And we have had quite a bit of volunteerism come forward to help this team go forward. And as Mr. Lee mentioned, we don't have one single large donor because we work out of the same pool of money, which is STROBE, the Schaumburg Township Republican Organization. And we just have a couple fundraisers, but all of us are probably equally supported.
Okay, thank you. All right, the next one is a little bit more about you personally. The question is, what neighborhood do you live in, and what are your favorite parts of living in this township? First on this one is Tim.
I live in the Campanelli neighborhood, right over by Campanelli Park. My kids go to Schaumburg High School and Dooley. It's kind of nice sometimes. My daughter can walk when it's nice, and my son can ride his bike when it's nice. When it's not so nice, it's a little bit more of a hurry, and we have to rely on the buses a little bit. I'm sorry, what was the second?
The second part is, what are your favorite parts of living in this township?
Campanelli Park, hands down. The park itself, that is like a refuge for myself and my family. We spend a ton of time there whenever we can. That is a beautiful park. If you haven't been there, walk through it someday. It's really fantastic.
Okay, thank you. Scott, what neighborhood do you live in? And, no, I'm sorry, it's Victor. Sorry, Victor. Victor, what neighborhood do you live in, and what are your favorite parts of living in this township?
Sure, I live in Hoffman Estates. I live right by the Schaumburg Township. I'm here locally, 5 minutes away, across the street. One of the best things I love doing with my children is not only the parks, but coming here to Schaumburg Library. We have a great time. We bring our children here, we meet together and do activities. Since more 6 years here, coming here, working with young. Through now, I have my eldest here with me here at U of I, who came through the schools here, started at Enders here on Salem Road. And one of the best things we like doing going to Volkley Lake here in Schaumburg, which is like 3 minutes away, enjoying the, walking through that lake, and there's now a gym there, maybe usually to do during the summer, so. It's a great time, it's a beautiful community to live in, whether here locally, Schaumburg or Hoffman, they're all combined here. It's a great and beautiful, and I encourage everyone to continue living here and enjoying their experience here.
Thank you. Kathleen, where do you live and what's your favorite part of living here?
I love Elk Grove Village. I'm in Schaumburg Township, not Elk Grove Township, just so you know. I am supposed to be here. I love the schools. I raised my son here, and just they're absolutely great. The shopping, the library here is beyond compare. It's just magical. The Schaumburg YMCA. I took lots of classes there. The township, I wish I would have spent more time learning about the township and volunteering for the township before now. So, I think that's about it. The parks too, so.
Thank you. Daniel?
Well, I know I already thanked you guys, but I'm gonna have to thank you again. I know we have some board members of the Schaumburg Library here. My wife pretty much brought our children as growing up 5 days a week here. And they spent hours and hours here. It was a godsend, this place. We live in Hoffman Estates, part of the township. We've been there for a little over 19 years now. We love everything about that place. But since you asked about the favorite part of the township, I lived all over. I was born in Korea, grew up there, grew up in Florida, lived out in California for a couple of years. And hands down, people here, that's my favorite part. I love the people here. That's why I've been living here the longest of any place I've ever lived. And I will retire here and die here. That's how much I love this place. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Charlotte?
My favorite thing about the township is, as Daniel said, the people. When we moved here in 1979, my husband and I had already moved 11 times in the first 10 years we were married, and as a military brat, I moved 33 times. So we were transferred, we came to Schaumburg, and it looked like every 2 years with his job we would be moving, and so it came time for him to move with his job. And we sat down and we said, if we cannot live close to one of our families, the best place we've ever been is Schaumburg Township. So this is where we want to raise our family. So he quit his job and we started a business that we had for almost 40 years.
Great, thank you. And last, Scott, what do you have to add to that? What neighborhood do you live in?
I was hoping she was gonna answer that question. Because I always get confused whether it's Campanelli or Sheffield, but it's Sheffield. Same house we bought in 1979 for $82,500. And the best part about this community are the services that are available to the residents, the people themselves, and the fact that when you're elected, you're not elected to serve a particular party, you're elected to serve the residents of the community. And I take that to heart. I don't care what party you're with. If you've got a problem, you call me and we'll see if we can't get it resolved. And I've been very successful in doing that over the years. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. And we're going to talk a bit about, we're going to focus a little bit about your individual roles, your individual positions. And we're going to start with Victor on this one, who is running for Assessor. What talents and experience do you have that make you a good candidate for this position?
The talents that I have is basically, since I started more than 7 years ago, prior to that, during college, I went to 2 years at Harvard. I started working for a World Savings Bank, part of the actor Adam Sandler's family, and I worked for that company. And that got me exposed to already to lending to home, property taxes, and things of that nature. During college, after college, I decided to come back to the community after working in the legislature, learning about the legislative process. I wanted to give back to my community, but also my talents is basically my experience working on property taxes, working in the community, working with the county and the Department of Revenue, on assessments, making sure that they're equitable, they're transparent, and affordable. So that's one of the qualities I have based on my certification as well.
Thank you. All right, just to make it less confusing, we'll have Charlotte answer as well, because she's running for the same position. The question was, what talents and experience do you have that make you a good candidate for this position?
And my number one talent, I believe, is I'm a people person, and I have 2 ears, and I listen, and I hear what people have to say. And being in the community, and being on various boards, I've heard from people and talking to them, they do not have their homeowners exemptions. They're not getting their taxes lowered, or they're paying an attorney to lower their taxes, and all the attorney does is fill out the paper, take it over to the township, and our assessor takes care of it and hands it back and charges you $200. So I'd like to make sure that with this office that we're able to reach out to our needy and most vulnerable citizens, and those most of the time are our seniors and our veterans.
Thank you. We'll move now to Kathleen.
Well, as I've said before, I have a degree in English, I'm a writer, I'm a reader. I keep meticulous records personally and professionally. My husband can attest to the personally. I've done this since I was a junior in college. Go to meetings, report back to the attorneys. I keep track of records. I actually read the minutes for fun, the minutes from the township, which some people probably find is odd, but I do. And I check every day to see if the minutes are up, not just from board meetings, but the other meetings. I love attending the meetings. It's like a hobby for me. My husband can tell you, that we only miss one because I would be not feeling well. So, English degree, work with lawyers, pretty good fit. So,
All right, thank you. Daniel, you have the same question for clerk?
Thank you. Does sound like a pretty good fit. Now, the difference that I bring to the table is the fact that I would take the clerk's duties extremely seriously. As I mentioned earlier, accountability is everything in a system like ours. Government exists for us, not the other way around. And we need to be able to hold the government accountable, and we can't do that unless we know what's going on, but not just know what's going on, but what's going on at the right time. We can't find out what happened 6 months ago. There's nothing we can do about it. It's already been done. So the speed of information being shared to our residents must be made, and that can only be made, there are so many good tools out there that is either low or at no cost these days, such as live streaming our board meetings for our residents online, and they're time's up, but there are numerous ways where we can do that, achieve that at low to no cost.
Okay, great, thank you. Now we'll move on to our highway commissioners. Candidate Scott, you're first.
I'm first.
You're first on this one.
What was the question?
The question, what talents and experience do you have that make you a good candidate for this position?
Military experience is part of the education process that comes to dealing with people, dealing with intergovernmental other people in government. I sit on the State Board of Highway Commissioners. I sit on the County Board of Highway Commissioners. I deal constantly with Cook County engineers, determining what's the best course of action for laying out a roadway or not laying out a roadway. you have to know how to deal with people and other government agencies. I've been very successful in having intergovernmental agreements that have saved the taxpayers money. And I'll be glad to go into that if I can do a rebuttal and extend my time. I don't know if that's how that works.
You do the rebuttal after.
Okay, you get to
After your
talk.
opponent talks.
Okay.
All right. Tim, it's your turn.
Thank you. Okay, well, for me, this is about consensus building. Again, I'm gonna go back to my experience as an association president. It doesn't sound like a lot, but our developer upped and left us. We were not a complete association. We had a lot of maintenance issues that needed to be dealt with, and those maintenance issues were issues that affected certain subsets of homeowners, but all homeowners were gonna have to pay for it. And it fell on me to make everybody realize why it mattered to each and every homeowner, whether it affected them directly or not. It came down to property values. It came down to pride and community. And the way I did that was just getting people together and telling them the truth and being honest and open about what was at stake for them. And, you know, it ended up being a great experience. I think that they understood each other. I certainly understood them, and we got a lot done.
We have a rebuttal request. 30 seconds.
We have 7 different unincorporated areas spread out across the township. You're not dealing with just one group of property owners, but 7 different places. You have to be able to figure out what buttons are the right buttons to push that give you the correct solution to the problem, and we've done that.
Next rebuttal.
I would ask, did you go to some special school that taught you how to do that, to be a highway commissioner? You know, I mean, come on, you can step into roles and learn the job. It's not like you have to have some pre-existing knowledge to get it done. I'm a smart guy, and I've dealt with people and built consensus. That's what the job is. You know, I mean, prior knowledge, well, we have to build prior knowledge by starting somewhere. He did.
All right, thank you. All right, all right. You each get 2, so this is your second one,
My
Scott.
second last.
It's your second to last.
This
Your
card, you
last.
held up the #1 card.
Okay,
Decorum, come
there
on,
you go.
you're a military vet.
My opponent is correct, you have to start somewhere, and I did, and I built up a substantial amount of knowledge on how to do this job. I'm not saying that you can't do the job, but I know I can do it better than you can. And other than that, I'm not gonna get into it, but we have an opportunity here to continue doing the things that have to be done. I'm done.
Thank you. That's all your rebuttals. All right, we're gonna move on to specific questions about your specific roles and offices. Kathleen will be up next on our step grid here. Specific question for the clerk. How proficient are you in the various computer-related software systems used in the clerk's job?
Very. I had to be be a paralegal. I'll say one thing, and you know, before there was spell check, what we would do is read through a document out loud to another person, because spell check isn't necessarily going to make sense check. Mental health board can be typed, you can read it as mental health board. So that's not gonna come through spell check. So accuracy is very important, but there is nothing that will work as far as reading it to yourself or reading it to someone else. So,
Thank you. Daniel, also running for clerk. How proficient are you in the computer systems used for this job?
I think that's a simple answer to that one, as Ms. Reed said, very. But I'd like to also mention that it's not just the computer knowledge that's gonna satisfy the duties of the clerk's office. The clerk doesn't work by him or herself. Clerk's office has a staff, and staff exists to communicate, not only keep records, but communicate those records with the residents. And of course, she mentioned spell check, and there has been a lot of technology since then that's been made, and especially recently, as I mentioned, such as streaming service and different AI programs that can help to help our residents to be able to understand our documents better. Because even if you look at a record, 70-page document, I mean, you have to read it halfway through to realize that wasn't the document you were looking for. So things like that can be helped with the latest technology out there.
Thank you. All right, specific question for the assessor position. Shar will go first on the answering. How will you handle the increased workload during property tax appeal season?
Well, as I understand right now, that the assessor's office has an intergovernmental agreement with one of our neighboring communities that one of their assessors comes and helps out. I believe if I'm elected, the assessor, it'll be a different situation. I am retired, I have the time to put in, and so on the busiest times, you're gonna have your assessor there in the office. That's for no other than to just answer questions of people waiting in line and stuff. So you can tell them where they can go, and they don't necessarily have to wait as long as they do. So I believe I have that to bring to the table. It is the time I have, and I plan on putting on. Anybody who knows me, as I've spent hours at the township volunteering.
Thank you. Victor, same question.
Yes, one of my greatest goals and one of the nice things I've done is that when I started this role, I noticed 7 years ago, things were outdated. I've seen long lines. People sometimes with property tax are upset. They're not happy. And it would be long lines over 300 residents upset in line. One of my first goals is I sat down with the assessor Lawson. I saw him, what I observed. I go, I'm not happy about this. We have to change this. He goes, fine, that's your task. Give me a solution. So what I did is I made it more efficient. Now I have over 2,000 residents simply email me their appeal requests during our busiest time. Now, from we used to having 500 residents, I made it have over 2,000, close to 3,000 residents. Why is this helpful? Sadly, if you don't have an appeal, your property bill can go up. And their residents sometimes are at hospitals that call me, send me an email. Their residents are out of state. Some people sometimes are injured, sadly, they're out in Nebraska. And they know they can count on me that if they need an appeal, I know they're gonna get it done. So I've transformed the office, made it more efficient, more transparent, and more people-friendly. And they know whether there's 2,000, 3,000 residents, all of them, they have to go to sleep till like midnight, which I do, and sometimes I work 6 days a night, I get the job done.
Thank you. Specific question for the highway commissioner candidates. Do you have a construction background? Also, do you have an administrative background in order to facilitate the road district budget? Yeah, Scott, you're technically up first, but Tim, you wanna go first? Go ahead, start with first lesson.
Well, I went first the last time.
I know, but we're going in order
Okay, all right,
that you
that's fine.
threw the numbers.
No, I do not have a construction background. I'm a chemist. And so I know things like asphalt has oil in it and viscosity, and it moves at a certain rate. You have to treat concrete. Whenever you salt concrete and you get chlorides in there, they can penetrate the concrete after the salt is gone and corrode the rebar and cause a failure of the road. We now have 4 lanes of concrete on the off-ramp of 390 that we have to maintain. We've only had 1 pothole in 30 years, and that was taken care of immediately. But what was the second part of the question?
Do you have an administrative background in order to
I
facilitate
do.
the
As a
budget?
company owner, you have to know how to make budgets, implement budgets, don't overspend your money. I've not overspent the money at the road district, and I gotta stop.
Yeah.
It's a sign that we have those in the township.
Roads, yeah, you got them at the end of roads.
All right, Tim.
Administratively, I mean, we dealt with budgets. I dealt with budgets for 11 years. We built up reserves. A lot of the reserves we built up were for roofs and roads. And so administratively, a lot of that was just working with the people that you have working for you, working with you to make that happen. As a background, I'm a teacher, and you know, at my heart, I'm a firefighter. I just want to say this about road and bridge, is that roads are something that you use every day, like multiple times a day. You're out on a road, you know it, you know, and roads can make people frustrated, or they, you know, maybe you're happy because it's smooth finally. So again, this position is so much more about just being out there and being sensitive to the people that have to use those services on the daily, but also to the people who don't use those services, because we only have a couple of roads, a couple of miles of roads within the township, but a lot of people pay for them. So you gotta be sensitive to that as well.
All right, thank you. This next question is for you to justify your position. And I don't have one for the clerk's position, I'm sorry, I'm going to go to the assessor. Here's your question, and Charlotte's gonna go first when we come to answering. What are the advantages and disadvantages of having an assessor role at the township level of government instead of at the village or state level? What are the advantages of having this position at the township level instead of state or village?
Well, the wonderful thing about this state, there's 102 counties in this state, and I took all the classes to be certified, and they talk about everything you needed to know and do, and they say that's applicable for 101 counties, that's not applicable to Cook County. So the thing here is we don't actually assess any property. What we do is help the public appeal their taxes and make sure they all get their exemptions and everything. And I feel that there's some downtime in the assessor's office, and we should be checking in and making sure our vets are getting their exemptions and our seniors are getting their exemptions. And there's several bills pending right now to where it's 65,000 is the income level to get the exemption, and next year it'll be 75, and the following year 85 if the bills go through. So we are working on getting it so we can help our seniors stay in their homes and not be taxed out.
Okay, thank you. Victor?
Yeah, we have assessors at the county level, and it's here at the township level. I think it's critical to have the township assessor because you need a strong tax advocate to make sure that we have equitable property assessments. We cannot have staggering where we have every 3 years assessments and our bills go up to 5,000, 10,000. There's a critical piece of legislation in Springfield. I have experience in working in the legislature, working with both senators and representatives from both parties. And one of the things I want to do, Senate Bill 1978 will seek the Property Residents Relief Act will seek to reduce and maintain here in Cook County our property values, our assessments, so that we don't have to do the appealing. And hopefully it passes and we can bring more affordability in our communities so our residents can stay here. We do need a township assessor. We have one in Cook County, but being Cook County downtown does not know what's going on here in Schaumburg. We need to have a fighter that will fight for you, for all residents. It's critical. There's no state assessor. There's only a township assessor. And that assessor, through legislation, through my community work at the county and legislators in Springfield, will get the job done and make sure in Cook County the numbers go down for our residents to be here and living happily. Thank you.
Thank you. Highway commissioners candidates, what are the advantages and disadvantages of having this township maintain roads instead of Cook County or the village of Schaumburg? Tim?
Okay.
Go for it.
Well, obviously, the advantage is local representation and local, just being able to respond quickly at the county level, and if you go higher than that, response just goes down. But remember, we're talking about 8 and some odd miles of roads here. And 15. Okay, well, if you want to do bi-directional, but it gives you more response. From the other side, it is what it is. The way the laws were designed decades ago is why we have townships, and townships have kind of become almost a redundant form of government in a lot of ways. But they're here. How do you divorce them from what we do on a daily basis? You know, we can provide the services that people have come to expect. If we blow that up, then they're going to be very confused. And so that is a huge advantage to having that type of representation right here in the township. All right, I was waiting for her to raise that. She was just gonna stop.
Scott?
Cook County doesn't want the roads. That's a simple answer, short form answer. They don't want them. The municipalities don't want them. Lane mileage is measured center line. And we have just under 15 miles of roadway that we maintain. That includes frontage road down on 390, right at the off-ramp, and Long Avenue, which is where the new truck park is going in, up in Palatine. So we're spread out all over the place. We have over in Roselle, south of the tollway. We have a significant, varied type of highways. And if you want to know who owns the highways, read the town crier. I just put an article in there about it. Who maintains it? Schaumburg is a Cook County highway. Plum Grove, that I just got a complaint on, is a Cook County highway. And I got that lady to the right spot. I'm done.
Thank you. All right, this will be our final question before we go into closing statements. And it's kind of a yes/no question, but feel free to add more information on it or more opinion. The question is, would you support combining townships such as Palatine and Barrington to provide better services and lower taxes for residents? And we are up to, we're up to Daniel for first answer on this one.
Would we want to combine townships? As a Republican, I'm always for reducing government, making government smaller, making government spending smaller. However, more important thing would be to spend the money efficiently. And the way it's set up today is the efficient way that it is being ran. For example, Wheeling Township, I believe, Scott, got rid of their highway commission, and in order to save money and reduce the government, except now they're spending more because they have to outsource to a union shop to take care of their roads. So reducing, not just for the sake of reducing, but reducing for better efficiency, I think is a more important question. And for now, combining townships doesn't seem to be the smart way to go.
All right, thank you. Charlotte, you're next.
Well, I believe townships are one of the most important things. They're the closest form of government to the people. And so if they have a problem, they can get in their car and be in township's 36 square miles. They don't have to go too far to come and get an answer from somebody. And I have to say, the people who work in our township do a great job of answering people's questions because they know the community. So if somebody from Palatine got a call from somebody from Schaumburg, they would not know the logistics the way somebody who's in that community does. So they are a vital part to making sure all of our neediest and most vulnerable citizens are taken care of because we live right in the same neighborhood with them.
Thank you. Next, Scott.
Do I believe that Barrington and Palatine, I believe, are the two that you named,
Just as examples.
as examples, should be combined? And the answer to that question would be no, because you would have a reduction of services to the population of those two townships. You have diverse neighborhoods that make up each township, and as the assessor candidate mentioned, we got a 36-mile area to arrive at your township and the people that know you in your neighborhoods. and I think they should stay the same. I don't believe that there would be much savings, and if you look at Anderson's, that went in with the biennial report, you would find that township government is much cheaper than county, municipal, or state. We're efficient, and we do things the right way.
Thank you.
Didn't have to hold the stop sign, see?
Yeah. All right, Tim?
No. I don't, show me a compelling reason to do it. I mean, it's kind of, this is a hypothetical, so.
Yes, exactly, but it
there's
has,
just-
but yeah, it's a topic.
Yeah, it's a hypothetical topic. No, why would you do that? It doesn't, I mean, it would create a lot of confusion. Could you imagine all of the running around trying to figure it out? Could you imagine the lead up to such a thing? I mean, do you want to be in the room when that's happening? Just seems like it would be kind of difficult. And hopefully we don't ever come to that. I think it would be kind of silly. I'll save you the time. Go ahead.
Okay, Victor?
Yes, good question, but I'm all for cost savings. I don't like spending, call me fiscal conservative, I do not like spending, I'm very strict on that. Number two, it would be impossible. We can't combine two townships. Of course, having $1 million homes in Barrington Township is not compared to living out here in Schaumburg or Hoffman or the Elk Grove area. So we're quite different townships. So we have to have our advocate here, our tax advocate here that represents us and knows what they're doing before the legislature, before the Cook County Board. So no, I'm not for that, but I am for cost savings, keeping property taxes low, and not excessive spending. I'm all for that 100%. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Kathleen, final answer.
I do not believe that would be very efficient. I would not be for that. It's a monumental task, I think, just to run, you know, the Schaumburg Township, and probably all the other townships too. I'm not saying it couldn't be done at some point in the future, way in the future, but right now, no, I wouldn't think that's a good idea.
All right, thank you. All right, now we're running over time, sorry. So it's time for our final statements. Each of you will have 1 minute for your closing statement, and we have dropped down to Charlotte as first on the closing statements.
I would like to take this time and opportunity to thank the League of Women Voters for giving me this chance to address the members of the community. This group of Republican candidates are dedicated, serving the public in the most fiscally responsible manner possible. The Schaumburg Township team is comprised of dedicated, inspired individuals whose goals are to provide common sense public service that will will improve the life of all Schaumburg Township residents. With that, I'd like to ask for your support and your vote in the upcoming election on April 1st.
Thank you. Next is Scott. 1 minute closing.
One of the greatest things that I learned in the JCs, and it's part of the oath of the JCs, is that service to humanity is the best work of life. We have, since we moved here in 1979, have tried to make that the motto of the Kegrice family. One of the things I wanted to mention before I got kicked off of here is there's no interconnection between the assessor's office and the road district. The road district is an entirely separate government. The assessor has no voting authority, no monetary authority, none of that, in case anyone had that question. And before we leave, we'll be like in church, so we can fund our campaigns, we'll be passing the plate for everybody and making a contribution.
Different color
Just
plates,
kidding,
right?
just
Different
kidding,
color.
yeah.
That-
different
You got
color.
a blue hat.
I have a blue hat,
James
right.
got a red hat.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. All right, Tim, your closing statement.
Thanks for doing this, League of Women Voters. It's nice to just be out in a public forum, and it's nice to see civility, and I think we all can set that example. I've enjoyed this. I feel like meeting my opponents, I realize that we're all civil people, and I think you find that at the local level, which is a marked contrast from what we're seeing so much And you know, what I can bring to the Road and Bridge, district, I don't think he has a crystal ball that he can do this job better than me. I mean, somebody's gonna have to do it, somebody different's gonna have to do it at some point. Is he gonna be able to do it better than them too? So I've got kids here, it's time for me to lead. I'm the future, unfortunately, you're the past.
I don't have a rebuttal.
You don't.
Got that, my rebuttal over.
All right, thank you. Victor?
I just want to say thank you, the League of Women Voters, Vicki, and Schaumburg District Library for hosting us. This has been a wonderful experience. I strongly believe every election is critical. Every election should be promoted, should be the newspaper, all, regardless of the level, from the state level presidency or to the local mayor's office, trustees, or township level. It's critical, it's important. You should know about the candidates, their experience, their dedication. And you have to remember, after 7 years, my boss has not been in office. I was placed in that office, and I've been running the office proudly, serving more than all, 100,000 residents I've seen, for the last 7 years. All 7 municipalities, from Streamwood, Rolling Meadows, Elk Grove, Schaumburg. And it doesn't have a party label. Property taxes don't have party labels. Whether you're a Republican, whether you're a Democrat, regardless of race, ethnicity, while they're crying in front of my desk, I work very hard for every resident in these 7 municipalities and fight for them so that their property bill can go down or find a way that we can find a proper way to properly pay that bill. County, there's two, like Benjamin Franklin said, there's 2 things you can't get rid of, theft and property taxes in general. So I'm fighting for you, and I'm very proud to be a candidate for assessor.
Thank you. You have a rebuttal?
Yes. I've spent 26 years on the District 54 School District Board, and you better believe I've met most of the people who live in the township, because a lot of people moved here for the schools. And I know he gets to work with them on a daily basis, but I have volunteered and gotten to work with many of our citizens at their most vulnerable times, and to help them through these processes.
All right, thank you, Charlotte. Closing statement from Kathleen's next.
Thank you for the opportunity. It's great seeing everybody. Like I said before, I really enjoy living in Schaumburg Township and volunteering in Schaumburg Township. Win or lose, I'm still going to go to the board meetings and volunteer for the township. And thank you all. That's about all I have to say.
Thank you. All right, Daniel, final.
All right, thank you all for this privilege for me to meet you and connect with you and present my ideas and thoughts. Schaumburg Township deserves leaders that put people first, people before politics, and bring transparency. And it's transparent already, but we need timely transparency, which will enable our residents to be able to hold our government more accountable. And common sense over other whatever agendas you may have, and that includes DEI. As your next township clerk, I will work to ensure that every resident has access to clear, efficient, and responsible government services through the latest technology that's available to us. Technology doesn't have to require more learning, but just providing easier access, fiscal responsibility, fairness, all that good stuff. I think we've said enough. My name is Daniel Lee. Thank you very much for being here, and I'm running for Schaumburg Township Clerk. Thank you.
All right, thank you all for your participation here and your thoughtful answers to our questions. We really, truly appreciate your time and your presence here. I'm going to turn it over to Vicki now for our final closing statement.
Thank you, Kim. Great job. I want to thank all of our candidates here for their participation. It takes a lot of effort to run for office and things like that, so we all owe them our appreciation regardless of how we decide to vote. On behalf of the League of Women Voters and the Schaumburg Library, I'd like to thank all of you for coming, because without your participation, none of this would happen either. If any of you are interested in the League of Women Voters, I would normally say we have information on the back table, but the last forum took it all. So you're welcome to go, so that's a good thing. So please go to our website. Again, it's www.lwvpalatinearea.org if you want more league information. And that's also where you'll go to view this form if you'd like to see it. And be sure to share the link with your friends and neighbors. Don't forget, there are still several ways to cast your ballot. Early voting starts March 17th, and there's still time to register to vote. You have till March 16th to register online, so if you or some of your friends are not registered yet, there is still time. And again, there's plenty of information on the league website if you need it. Please participate in our democracy by casting your ballot. Your voice is your vote. We have one more forum coming up after this, and that's for the General Board of Trustees for the Schaumburg Township. That will be starting in about a half an hour. So you've got time to go get a drink or check out a library book, use the restroom, come back here. And the candidates for that forum, some of you are in the room. If you haven't already signed in, please come on up here and we'll do that. So thank you all for coming.